interesting session discussing technology disruption around sports education and sports-based content, offering to enhance knowledge, skills, and value of various players in the sports value chain. I would not like to take too much time. I'd like to introduce our moderator and our panelists. Could we have Dr. Mahesh on stage, please? Dean Alumni, Corporate Relations, IIT Madras. Representing IIT Madras, NPTEL and NPTEL Plus. Could we have our panelists on stage as well? Dr. Colonel Anup Krishnan, Director, D.Y. Patil University, School of Sports, Exercise and Nutrition. Could we have a huge round of applause, please? Dr. G. Kishore, Principal and Regional Head, LNCPE Trivandrum. Could we have Nilesh Kulkarni, Founder Director, IISM. He's also a former Indian cricketer, founded IISM in 2009. And could we have a huge round of applause for all our panelists together?
Good afternoon. We'll get right to the topic. E-learning, sports tech, and distance education are the themes of the next 45 minutes. And this is something we've talked at various points during the day today. And it's something we all have now, nobody here needs to be convinced that this is needed. There are only so many teachers, and there is 50 times, 100 times that as the number of students wanting to learn from those teachers. That's the basic problem. So we do need technology-enabled learning, technology-driven learning, and learning technology using technology. So we'll cut straight to the point and start with maybe Dr. Anup Krishnan. And from your experience, you are you are a doctor, you are a sports science researcher. In the field of sports sciences, particularly, where do you see is a problem? I mean, most of the tech learning that happens is video, audio. Is that sufficient, or are there other add-on layers that would make your life a little better?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Sir, the field of sports sciences, currently we are training both online as well as offline. However, there are several skills which require offline training on the field or in the lab. So skills like what was just spoken about, three-dimensional motion analysis. So that requires training, and that requires offline training. So skills like anti-doping, again, unless you see the anti-doping container, unless you see how the procedure is done, you will not understand. So there are some skills like exercise testing, which can be taught online, but the majority of the skills in our field of sports sciences have to be taught offline, and preferably with elite sportsmen, because the level between amateur and recreational elite sportsmen, as compared to the exercise testing protocols, the difference is too much.
So let me ask you as a quick follow-up to that, if so much of the content has to be offline, how do you scale? How do you reach 10 times the number of people you are able to do
now? So what we recommend is that you finish your graduation in some science, with a science background, you do your master's, and once you are at a particular level, or you are an exercise physiologist, or you're a biomechanist, or you're a sports psychologist, then you go in for highly specialized courses or subspecialties in your basic specialty, which can be conducted offline or online.
Okay. So a blended model seems to be the solution. Dr. Kishore, if I can come to you. You've been associated with LNCPE for a long while now. It's our premier college for physical education in India. What has technology done within your college, and how do you intend to leverage technology?
Till recent past, we had not done any headway much into the physical education side. But we were rather, necessity is the mother of creation. So we had to resort to e-learning during the pandemic. So during those times when nothing was there, we can't have any access to the play fields, and this sort of we had a mandate from the ministry that they had in Khelo India a segment known as community sports. So in community sports, we resorted into e-learning. We had introduced a digital platform, and we introduced that with the help of some international agencies, and it became a grand success. We could, during the pandemic, educate around 75,000 odd physical education teachers, and that too online, and which has given us insight to develop our own contents. And now we have already equipped with enough of, and we have made a structured online platform, now already developed, which is going to be launched soon, which has got 4 levels, starting from foundation, then going into introduction, foundation, level 1 and level 2, in a structured way, level-based e-learning. In fact, when you go to the advanced stages, it is phygital. They have to have online and offline as well. And we have got a huge response. In fact, we got almost around 30,000 registered. And we are going to kick off soon from I think sometime during the end of this month. We are going to formally launch. In fact, IIT Chennai too has helped us, if you remember. We had been collaborating for quite long. And in fact, this collaboration with the physical education and sports started with IIT Chennai. And we had your team coming to us, and we're going to interact with them quite often. And that has helped us to develop this. And it is going to make a remarkable change, transformation in the physical education e-learning process too.
Wonderful. Come to Nilesh. He's the founder of the Indian Institute of Sports Management, a former Test cricketer himself. I think if there is one profession that is completely sort of missing in our discussion in India today, it's sports management. So you're almost in the process of creating a category. Help us understand what it is like to build the school that you're building and where technology can come in.
To be honest, it didn't exist in India till the time IPL got introduced. I mean, if you compare that worldwide, the business of sport revolves around sporting annual properties in that respective countries. In form of IPL, India got its first sporting annual property. Post that, we've got 15 national properties and hundreds of state properties. So that's how we actually change the dynamics. We are a very reactive country. We are very limited proactive country. In this space of sport, we are a 1% sport playing country. We are a 64% sport loving country. To change that dynamic and get them to start playing, participating, thinking of making a career, awareness. See, I love watching sport. Do I love making a career in sport is a question many people don't have an answer for. For us, that was one effort to start thinking and aligning, because 9 out of 10 times people have made the career choices in not their liked and loved profession. Because they wanted to become something, they ended up becoming something else. Sport is one profession where A, you have a passion, second, you have a liking, 3, then you can think of making a career. So that was my transition from being a cricketer to then introduce IISM. It wasn't easy to convince, because technology obviously has played a critical role during COVID majorly. But for us, I personally believe it has to have a good combination of classroom, physical and digital, because in sport, some of the things you need to experience, you need to feel, you need to understand the pressure, high pressure situation, you need to go through that rain, modelize that, and then incorporate that into your practice. Because in sport, we don't have retakes. In life, you can think of making a mistake and correcting. In sport, you don't have retakes. So all your preparation, everything what you plan, I'm relating it to cricket to start with. And if the match is start at 9 o'clock, every damn thing needs to finish before that first ball is bowled. Be it a broadcaster, a presenter, a operational team, a marketing team, a branding team, logistics team, travel team, F&B team, every compartment actually comes together in their respective way to make sure that that match starts at 9 o'clock. For me, that's a great aggregator from a technology-enabled platforms, because that actually gives you perspective where the gaps are, how you can find it. But you still need to experience it, that you need to go through that pressure situations. For me, that's very exciting, because that challenges you, that pushes you, because there are no set patterns, there are no comfort zones. Every day is a new challenge in sport, because it's not a preset concept of these are the 4 Ps, this is how the 4 Ps will be. No, it's going to be new challenge. There'll be some challenge, some vendor. This is where sport gives you an edge. And for me, being introducing sports management, being a former cricketer, I personally feel it's very challenging but extremely satisfying to give wings to people who aspire to make a career in sport.
So, particularly in sports management, today our vision is, a couple of young people embedded in an IPL team who are managing the operations of the team, right? But that's a very limited view of what sports management can be. What do you tell your young men and women who come to enroll in your college as what they could be 10, 15 years from now?
Well, I mean, India wishes to host Olympics 36. I think that's a great career to be a senior person managing a key department for 36 Olympics. But as you rightly said, it has to start. I get a lot of students, my team actually experience that every single day. Oh, I want to manage Virat Kohli. That's their start point. I'm like, brilliant. If you think you can manage, does Virat Kohli has a trust on you to help you give the reins in your hand to manage him? The answer is no. You have to go through that. And there's one thing which you can't buy in the market, which is not available for sale, is experience. You have to earn it. And this is where I personally feel grassroots, go the hard yards. Like always we say that in cricket, go the extra yard to learn. Make sure you learn and earn. Once you have that process set, then sport is ocean of opportunities. And, a lot of people do think in a different manner, but talk about IPL. I'll just give you some statistical number because we are technology, so I have to share the numbers for people's comfort. In IPL, there are more than 35,000 people work, full-time, part-time contract jobs, only in IPL. At the National Games Goa, there were 5,500 people worked on that single event, which actually went for 15 days. At Khelo India, where DG sir was there are 2,500 to 5,500 people work on each of the Khelo India games, behind the scenes. What I'm trying to give you as an opportunity is, this is where sport is growing. With our Honorable Prime Minister's vision to make India as a sport playing country, technology will play an extremely critical role to create these opportunities, bridge the gaps, and make it more accessible, right from aggregator, participating sport, recreational sport, community sport, semi-professional sport, to professional to elite. These are the opportunities across all sectors of what we are sitting here, and those who are outside will definitely aspire to think of making a career, because there'll always be an integration of every field in sport.
Dr. Anup Krishnan, I think this whole field of sports science, until I got introduced to CESA and I started, it really I didn't know that it existed. What do we do to first tell the world that this field exists? I don't have to tell the world aeronautical engineering exists. How do we first tell the world that it exists, so more young men and women will choose to come here? Is there a process there, you feel?
Yes, sir. So I think a great start has been made by IIT Madras by offering these short courses in sports sciences. So now, because of these courses, people who are interested in this field at least have something to give a trial. Okay, I have gone through this course, I like this subject, I will now go and specialize in it. So that's a very good window which we have given them. The other thing is, if you look at any team which is traveling, any foreign team, even more increasingly the Indian teams also, they have a complete sports sciences backup which travels with them. So there will be a sports medicine doctor, an exercise physiologist, a recovery specialist, a sports nutritionist, a sports psychologist, strength and conditioning coach, assistant coach, coach. So there is a full team which travels with these teams. And so that is another thing which can be looked into. We can also go into something like simulation-based experiences, right? Like in my field, if you have to teach cardiopulmonary resuscitation to a doctor or a paramedical staff, the first basic thing is the patient has to be with zero circulation. That means his heart has to be stopped. You cannot practice CPR on a live subject. All right? So this is where the role of technology comes in. There are a lot of simulation laboratories which are there now, which offer basic life support, ACLS, all these levels of courses where you can train and be certified without ever touching a live body. So that is the next way forward. And when I was in Army Sports Institute, there was a delegation of about 30 MPs who came visiting Army Sports Institute. So they saw all the facilities and then they asked me one question, Dr. Saab, ये तो बहुत बढ़िया है, medal क्यों नहीं आ रहे? I told him, sir, ऐसे आप 100 सेंटर बनाइए इंडिया में, medal अपने आप आएंगे. So yes, we have started, setting up centers now, and hopefully we will be doing better on the medal tally also.
Can I just add one more thing? Understanding doctor, I'll just give you my reference. When I played for India in '97, we just had one doctor traveling with the Indian team. And the standard treatment was ice, sonography, and a Brufen, which used to be in that pink color. These were the 3 standard treatments. Today, what doctor said is absolutely right, that 20 to 25 people, support staff, travel with each of the team. That's how we've evolved in this industry.
Very nice.
Another anecdote, these support staff who travel with the team, right? So I was a doping control officer at a match in Ferozshah Kotla. So we were playing, another team was playing. So before the team practice begins, 20 minutes before, the support staff is on the field and they are doing their warm-up. So that when the team comes on field, they are ready to perform the warm-up and the other drills with the team. So that is the level of, intensity which they do, take their job seriously.
Very nice. We're all glad to see that support systems are getting better. Dr. Kishore, physical education in India, especially PE teachers in schools, is a dire need. How many PE degree granting colleges are there and how many more are needed? And where is the role for technology in this? You did describe in your previous comments, but my point is, how do we provide the practical experience? There's a small practicum in every PE curriculum. How do we provide that practical experience for them to, in some sort of a hybrid mode, as Nilesh mentioned, graduate 10 times the number of PE teachers that can go into schools later?
To answer your question, I may have to go a little back into the history. Because, the physical education profession as of in India, it was a profession which was unfairly maligned and stigmatized. Because the physical education teachers as such, they are known to be those who are only meant to discipline the children or to just go to that, make them to play something or something like that. But over the time past, the technology has percolated down to each and every segment, and this field also not. So what, if you are asking it to the statistics, I have to get you the figure, I'll have to go back. But what exactly the factor is that, which has been one of the most important factor is that our youth of the country, which is one of the largest youth population, fundamentally the basics have to be taught to them by the physical education teachers, the fundamentals, when they come to the kindergarten or to the later to the primary. So the physical education teacher, who has to do a grassroots, as of now, the statistics, it's quite meager. We don't have sufficient teachers as such at all to look into, to look after the fundamentals, the basic at the grassroots level of the children. And without having the base, without having the broad basing addressed to, if you, in a later stage, in the formative stage, if you ignore them and you try to make them a world beater in a later stage, we may not be able to do so. That is one of the major issue which need to be confronted. And I think many of the panelists in the earlier discussions too mentioned about that. if you ask what is the solution and how can you address it, I think what we are doing today, it's one of the most important leap towards that. Rather not step, a leap. Because without the help of the e-learning and content developed and accessible level-based, we won't be able to train and teach the entire youth of this country. And the physical education teachers, the physical presence may not be there. We can have the e-learning platforms developed where through which each child can access the type of the learning which he need to do. And of course, the curriculums, the states, because it's a state subjects, and we need to impress upon the state governments. Also to focus into and they should, only with their efforts, these physical education teachers and trainers can be engaged and to look after the states and the country. Otherwise, you see the playing population. If you look into how many children in the schools do actually train, how many of them involved in physical activities, it is very, very, very negligible. So that is what the profession has to do. And I think the developing of the e-learning process and developing more contents, creating more courses, and accessibility will definitely be a remarkable change, make a remarkable change into this process.
May I add some? So we need something which increases the participation of school children in physical activity and sport. Right? There's a model in Australia which they follow very well. Every child at the age of, I think, 6 or 7 years, a team of sports scientists come and they test all the students in that school. And they will give a recommendation. Each child has to play 4 sports. That is compulsory, right? And 2 will be selected by the sports scientists based on the motor qualities, and 2 of the child's choice. And this is a mandatory requirement in most of the schools in Australia. So yes, we have to think of something like this.
If we want to implement that in just CBSE schools, do we have enough sports scientists to do that?
So I'll give you the statistics. India has got 17.5 lakh schools. CBSE, KV, ICSE, IGCSE, state boards and other boards also. To put that with the GR which we have and the number of kids which are studying in India, the kind of bandwidth which requires to deliver across India, you need quality. And that's when technology is going to play extremely critical role in enabling reaching out to all those students to influence them with the engagement of sport.
I think this NEP 2020 envisages the sports education as a part of curriculum. In fact, we have always discriminated this education as physical education and sports science as a co-curricular or extracurricular, but this has been now changed.
No, in fact, I was just going to add the same point. Part of the role which I played with the committee which was established, the recommendations have gone to CBSE, and CBSE has agreed to do a pilot of introducing these courses with the physical education credit along with sports management and a sports science credit offering from 8th, 9th, 10th grade onwards towards higher education.
That's wonderful.
That will allow them. She has a question.
At the end, ma'am. Yeah.
So there is
time.
There is a opportunity and a significant opportunity for all those who aspire to make a product directly impacting students' lifestyles through sports ecosystem. There's an opportunity because the numbers are huge, the opportunity is huge, and the unfortunate reality, as sir mentioned, that the quality trained force to deliver those programs has reduced considerably. Gives an opportunity, like he said, in Europe there are 3 sports mandatory, in Australia they've got 4, in China they've got 4 or 5. So every country has adopted that as a practice to make sport mandatory, and out of which one has to be a team sport, which actually help that kid develop all the skills, motor skills, team building, activities, intensities, pressure situations. All these models are templatized. So I think that's according to me, that's an opportunity for us in India to grow these products, and through IIT Madras and like your this thing, we can actually appeal to all those people to start coming up with these new innovative ideas, supporting these initiatives.
I think it has already been, CBSE has already been asked to integrate it, and they have been doing. In fact, this what we develop this e-content, but IIT Chennai also is now developing. We also too have developed. This will sync, and this will something because this they may require these contents in the due course to deliver the curriculum.
Wonderful. I travel a lot, and every time I drive back from the airport back to IIT, there's a long airport wall, and Tamil Nadu government has painted that wall nicely. And on one part of that wall, there's a part that says play a sport, because sport teaches you to handle losing, sport teaches you to follow rules and obey authority, and most importantly, sport teaches you how to handle winning. So, I think integrating sports into curriculum is a very important aspect of every child's growth. My only concern, and that's the purpose of this panel, is to see how we can scale and scale the learning processes and take them to a larger number of students. That is the demand in the country today. Now, in this role as the moderator, I also have one more duty to do. There was supposed to be another person from IIT Madras to talk about SWAYAM and NPTEL that I alluded to in the morning. And since that person couldn't make it due to some schedule conflict, I'm going to don that role. And for a minute, I'm no longer the moderator, and I'm going to ask myself to talk about NPTEL and SWAYAM. So I'll take a couple of minutes to tell you a little bit about this. SWAYAM is a program of the Ministry of Education of the Government of India. It was started as NPTEL, standing for National Program on Technology Enhanced Learning. This was conceived in 2004 actually, and became active in 2005, when the ministry said, what if colleges somewhere in India, engineering colleges primarily, didn't have teachers or didn't have good teachers? So at that time, our director, Professor M.S. Anant, had a very revolutionary idea. He said, why not videotape lectures of IIT faculty and have those lectures in the form of VHS cassettes available to whoever wants it? And that is how the program started. And even today, if you come to IIT, I'll show you a whole library of VHS cassettes with hundreds of courses that were originally recorded from about 2005 to 11, when YouTube was not yet born. And before YouTube, this was the only way we would do it. We would record cassettes, and a whole box of cassettes would be shipped off to a college that wanted to use NPTEL material to teach their students. Today, of course, the entire program is online, thanks to YouTube. We were one of the first partners in India for YouTube. The NPTEL channel on YouTube is the most visited YouTube channel in the entire India. Don't let any Carry Minati carry you away. Is minuscule compared to NPTEL. It's actually a good sign that more students are actually learning science and technology than listening to Carry Minati. But having said that, today NPTEL is morphed into much more than science, technology and engineering. Even though those were the roots of the program, there are about 3,000 plus full semester long 40-hour courses available for free viewing on this YouTube channel. You can watch whatever part of whatever lecture. They are all annotated. Say, for example, you are listening to Professor V. Balakrishnan's quantum mechanics lectures. You understood some basics of quantum mechanics, and you are now interested in the solution to the Schrodinger equation. So you can actually go directly to the part of the video where he discusses solutions to Schrodinger's equations. So it's annotated to the point where you don't have to go through hours and hours of material to get to the actual 10-15 minutes that you are interested in. This was the start. Now once we have all this material, we also run MOOCs, massively open online courses. These MOOCs are now certification courses. So they are actually courses where students learn from the material in the YouTube. There are weekly assignments that are given, and students solve these weekly assignments. They have to submit on our online portal. They are digitally graded, computer graded. So there is no human intervention in grading tens of thousands of these assignments. But at the end, there is a human proctored exam that is conducted in one of the thousands of testing centers in India. So TCS is our exam partner. They've been with us for at least 2 decades now. And in this, using the TCS ION infrastructure, these students go physically there and take a test under the supervision of an invigilator. So that test is the basis of a certificate that is given to the student. So we've had at least, like I said this morning, we see at least 20 lakh students pay a small fee and take the certification exam. That small fee is about 1,200 rupees. So you can see the kind of activity that is being generated in India through these online learning platforms. And there are only, after we saw the success of Swayam, which is this NPTEL Plus certificate, we've now launched Swayam Plus. Swayam Plus is a place where anybody can come put their material. You can charge whatever fees you want to charge, because you may say, my material is worth a lot, my material costs a lot to make. You can put whatever material you want on there. NPTEL and Swayam would advertise your course along with all of their other courses. You can also advertise your courses. IIT, but Swayam takes 15% of whatever fee you charge, 85% is passed down to you. So you create your own learning material, you can put it on that platform and let students learn on that platform. The advantage is the entire learner management system, bringing students on board, enrolling them, making sure they are doing their assignments, sending them reminders when they are missing their assignments, all of that is handled by the platform. You just need to create your content, put it on there, and let the platform do the talking with the student directly. So we want to leverage Swayam Plus to bring on more partners on board to do these courses through this platform. It's a platform that has good reach. It's a very stable platform tech-wise. It's been around for, like I said, at least a decade now. We've improved upon it because it's a overall cash positive operation. There's no dearth of people running the operation, and there's no reason to not keep up with the best of technology. So it's a very safe, cyber secure platform. Please come on. You can talk to either me or Ramesh or any of our IIT colleagues about Swayam Plus. If you are interested in, this is like our open network for digital commerce. Anybody wanting to do learning or teaching, here is a platform. You put your material, we'll advertise, you can advertise, you make money, the platform makes money, and all of us the country benefits at the end of the day. So think of this, and we will talk more, offline. So let me go back to the panel discussions.
May I just want to add something, from the other end of the NPTEL platform. So
he was an instructor, so please.
Yes. So I was an instructor for 3 courses. So initially it was said that 20 hours will be the course content, and there will be some exams, and then there will be a final exam. So typical army man bravado or whatever you call it, 20 घंटे तो देख लेंगे. I can tell you today that 20 hours of content on the platform required at least 500 hours of development hours. And the level of the questions and the final for the weekly tests and the final exams are of a very high standard, because a lot of time effort has gone into that. And there is a question paper team, I don't know where they are sitting, sir, but
they don't let you sleep, right?
Yeah, they don't let you sleep, they don't let you eat, and they want the question papers of a particular level and a particular standard. Anything less, they will not accept. This is not correct, this is not applicable, this is there. So hats off to the team, and it may look like 20 hours, but the back end work is a lot. And the team has put in a lot of effort to make sure that this content or these courses are of a very high standard. Thank you.
That's because every student that cracks that exam that Dr. Krishnan would have said gets an IIT Madras certificate that they have completed a course in sports science. So that's the reason we are very careful with making sure the evaluation is up to the mark. So we have another 10 minutes. So I want to open this up to the audience for any questions. Yes, ma'am. Wait for a mic if you don't mind. No, here.
Sorry. So with your permission and permission from all the panelists who are sitting on the dais, the very first question that you had asked Dr. Karna Anup Krishnan, that besides video and audio, what are the various other platforms for scaling up the e-learning? That was the basic essence of this whole discussion. So of course, when you dwell your ideas as a panelist at the end, I was happy enough to hear that. However, I had already made my notes. So to answer that question on behalf of Sir, it is basically both synchronized and asynchronized LMPs, some of which you have already given us as SWAYAM, NPTEL, MOOCs, etc. We are also, learning as teachers and providing it to students in the northern part of India as well. I would not detail it further because you've given us lots already. I would want to ask why in India, in various schools, as you've already said, we can't have a sports card. We all have health cards, we all have identity cards, whether we are into business or into a school or into a corporate world or a university. So as Krishan sir has already said, take up 4 sports or 5 sports. Why make it just a co-curricular activity but not a mandate? Let's have a sports card, sir, to scale it up in terms of learning as well as participation. The only challenge in medical schools in imparting e-learning is that, yes, we cannot palpate out there. We cannot palpate, as he has aptly given an example of CPR, we cannot diagnose thereby,
Sure.
but the theory can quantum analyze. The theory can mass reach, and then they can come for the practicals also.
Sure, I think maybe Dr. Kishore can quickly answer the sports card idea. The mic is not working.
With the new introduction of NEP, they have made this physical education and sports a part of curriculum. And once it becomes a part of curriculum, the card system or evaluation system will come into place, and it has come already into existence. And a majority of the schools have already started following, and the student need to show their proficiency in certain sports in the schools, and they have started making it mandatory. And adding on to that,
Madam,
it's required that, in connecting with SWAYAM and also the content which we are developing, that's called as e-CADE Pathshala, that also is meant for the same purpose so that the child can access it. But it requires a little more of motivation, both negative and positive. Positive in the sense, the benefits.
I think, Madam, there's another question there. We'll come back.
The negative in the sense that we need to alarm the child about the consequences, the ramifications which can happen in case they are not coming into the fold of sports or physical activity.
Sure. I think there's a question back there.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. First of all, it's a pleasure to speak to this esteemed guests present here. So my question is to Mr. Nilesh Kulkarni, sir. As a former cricketer, I think it's an opportunity for me to speak to you. Sir, my question is that you talked about how in 1997 the support staff was pretty minimal, right? Now, what I have seen in interviews is that from 2014 or 15, Virat Kohli was an instigator in kind of being able to bring that fitness culture in the Indian team. And we have seen how personnel all over the Indian team and other sports also has increased. Now, another aspect of sport is the mental health side, right? We have seen around a decade and a half back, Marcus Trescothick, a very good English player, had to go back from tour because of mental health issues. Recently, we saw how Glenn Maxwell took a rest in the IPL because of mental health. We saw how much Hardik Pandya went through. So, as someone who is running a sports management institute, how do you think, what soft skills are important for sports management professionals to help deal with the cricketers with the stresses of the game, and how they can help them to, be able to cope with everything that goes around, with all the new aspects of the game, the IPL, the media team, everything all around. How do you think is the best?
Very simple. I think I break that into 2 or 3 different segments to answer your question. See, India is a very unique country compared to the world. Every 150 to 200 kilometer, the food, the weather, the dialect changes. So the recipe to give recommendation should also change.
Right.
Whether it's from science to mental preparations to across all sectors also. Is it happening? No, it's not happening. Second, when you answered about Virat's preparation, Virat's self-realization pushed him to get better. And then when he started comparing it with the international standards athletes, he set that benchmark for everybody else to follow. And that's how you actually have seen the results. You know, the people like Mr. Sunil Gavaskar, Sachin Tendulkar, Virat Kohli, they are one in generation. Why? They're always ahead of their time. They set benchmarks for the future generation, and not only the generation which they are playing, but the next generation to influence. And that's why they actually impact a lot. So that's the second question of yours. The third part is, you're talking about the mental well-being.
Yes, sir.
When you play sport, you deal with failures more than you success in life. And when you talk about the statistics, Roger Federer have been on circuit for more than 21 years to win 20 Grand Slams. Sachin Tendulkar got 100 hundreds with 672 innings. Michael Jordan on the circuit for almost 18 years only won 5 or 6 championships. They've dealt with failures more than success. So I agree that a lot of people have their challenges. Earlier, nobody was talking about it. Now people are aware about it and want to speak and address that. It's a very good sign, especially for a future generation of India who are completely engaged in playing sport on the gadgets. They need to be taught about how to handle failures, to overcome these challenges. Because if you ask me, according to me, this is going to be the biggest concern for India in next 15 to 20 years if that generation does not engage in physical, active, competitive sport, whether it's recreational or professional. If you don't do that, you are inviting mental problems when you grow older. So that's one gray area which everybody needs to contribute. And for me, unless you are put into competitive field, you will never come to know how to handle, how to overcome that, and how to challenge yourself. Because that's something which you have to deal with, because everybody is different. And like they said, in psychology, her problem ki chabi alag. So they have a different, but this problem doesn't have a fixed key. You have to find a solution.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
I hope I answered that.
Yeah, definitely, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the audience? Geeta has a suggestion.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to make this point. Your thoughts on what do you think of, I mean, it's wonderful to see how NEP is integrating yoga and even exercise, and so wonderful to see the importance on being fit, and sports is, today's sports science education. On that note, since I'm a dietitian, I'm just wondering, I know a lot of athletes who train so hard, but don't take care to eat right before, during, after. Even at the school level, since Kishore sir said that at the school level, as physical education teachers, I think if we also marry nutrition to exercise and sports, and I'm sure each one of you here would agree with me, in many ways, as Indians, where we fall short of protein, or we have several micronutrient deficiencies, from adolescent children to, so many other challenges, from the diabetes capital. I mean, if each of us in some way just took care to be on the 50% other side to meet the requirement as a ballpark point, I mean, don't you all think as academicians or guys who are using technology in some way, if we integrate sports nutrition or nutrition as well as, like how doctors, like Dr. Anup may agree with me, as a medicine undergrad, you have to study a bit of community nutrition because you need to know the fundamentals. So in some way, when we talk of sports education, in some way, if we just teach them the basic nuances of what can be protein for recovery, what is antioxidant, what is omega-3, why you need to eat your fruits and vegetables, which we always see the challenge in children. In some way, if we can make this a life skill, a basic cooking and understanding very, very fundamental nutrition, maybe our children will grow up to be healthy adults. Just your thoughts, sir.
Ma'am, this nutritional deficiencies, sudden cardiac deaths in sport, all these things can be picked up very early if you make a pre-participation physical examination mandatory before participation in all sport. Right? Even a country like Sri Lanka, if you have to participate in any sport at whatever level, a pre-participation physical evaluation is mandatory to be done by a sports physician. So that has to be one of the basic guidelines which has to come into our system. And then only these things can be picked up early. So then you have somebody picking up these nutritional deficiencies, somebody picking up these cardiac murmurs, all these, and then we will not have such problems.
To add on to this, just one more point. I would like
We are
to
out of time.
supplement to what Colonel Krishnan has told, that this is already a part of curriculum in our various courses, both undergraduate and postgraduate, nutrition sciences. And also nutritionist is a part of our system in Sports Authority of India. All the national centers of excellence, the regional centers, academic centers have their own nutritionist, and it is strictly in accordance to the NIN, National Institute of Nutrition's guidelines. So we are into it, and also we are trying to go down a little more deeper to educate the entire the sports persons, which are within the fold of the state governments as well as the SAI, to make them to know about the right way of eating. And we also tell them, you are what you eat. Thank you.
Thank you. On a lighter note, for a long time, teaching kids what to eat and what not to eat was in the domain of the parents. Okay, we are now figuring that there should be a course in the school. Well, so, okay,
Well,
thank you all. You've
there are
been a
more
wonderful
platforms now.
audience. You've been a wonderful audience, and I hope you all learned a little bit. Thank you.